3, 2, 1, and we are live. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are glad to see so many people from all over the world. It's nice, pretty chilly evening in Tel Aviv, 7 p.m. It's 5 p.m. in London and noon at the East Coast. And while we are waiting to start our introduction, please feel free to drop a comment in the chat. Where are you joining us from? Have you already made Aliyah, or are you just planning? And if you already moved to Israel, what country did you come from? It's very interesting for us. And of course, what are your expectations of this webinar? What would you like to learn? And I see that we already have some messages coming. So, we have Anastasia from Haifa. She moved to Israel 1.5 years ago and looking for a job as UX and UI designer. Welcome, Anastasia. We're glad you joined us. We also have Jacob from Australia. Wow, it's a long way. Welcome, Jacob. Jacob moved to Israel 3 years ago and has recently finished a developer course. Kol hakavod, great. Hello, Melissa from the US. Melissa is looking to learn how to adjust CV for the Israeli market. Great question, Melissa. And we are going to cover like a lot of different topics today. So it wouldn't be exclusively dedicated to the CV, but it definitely will be relevant for you. So for those who are joining us, the webinar today is about how to land your first job in Israeli high tech. And we have 4 different speakers. And we would like to learn also more about you guys. So I'm going to release a poll just in a second. You will see it in your screens. And, feel free to introduce yourself in a chat as well. Okay, so really, poll is released. Oh, we have a lot of people. We have Miriam from France, just arrived last week in Israel. Welcome, Miriam. This is a great, mezeg avir, how we call it, great weather. Pavel is QA automation engineer, planning to move to Israel from Russia this autumn. Great. Just make sure that you come before Rosh Hashanah. So eat a little bit apple, with dvash. We have a UX UI designer from St. Petersburg, Ekaterina. Oh, it's my mother town, like it's my whole town. I love that city. We have Lev from Russia, product owner in International Bank. Wow, welcome. It's so many of you coming. Like, I'm so glad to see you guys. We have a Modest, a graphic designer and branding expert from Russia. Welcome. Grigory, Alex, Nathaniel from Brazil, living in Jerusalem, looking for jobs in VC and startup. Welcome everyone. Oh, and we can already see some poll results. So we have a lot of participants with more than 6 years experience. And I see that the majority of people, they were looking for a job less than 3 months. So it's great. I hope that it means that you required it very fast. And yeah, we have a lot of developers, some marketing representative, administration, a lot of data analyst and IT, of course. We have a lot to cover today, so let's jump right in. And I give the floor to Andrew, Masa community manager, and the person who sent you reminder email about this event. Please, Andrew.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Anna, for that amazing introduction. Just so you know, my name's Andrew. I'm the community manager from Masa. So if you're not familiar with Masa, we're an organization that brings Jews from around the world to Israel to do all different types of internships and programs. Feel free to look at our website if you're interested in something like that. But to get things going, I'm going to introduce our speakers for tonight. We have an amazing panel for you tonight of people with a lot of different insights and experiences of the high-tech system in Israel. And they'll each speak to you about different aspects of things they work with and help you guys out. So to start, we have Carol Hauser. Carol is Brazilian and made Aliyah almost 7 years ago. In her last year and a half, she has been working for the HR department in high-tech companies in Israel. She worked for Checkmarks, a cybersecurity company, and now works for Nayax, a fintech company, as talent acquisition. We have Anna, who introduced the webinar tonight. Anna is an email specialist at Powtoon. Anna is originally from St. Petersburg, Russia. She is a Masa alumni and volunteer. Anna started her first Masa in 2017, and a year later, after completing 2 Masa programs, she made Aliyah. Next, we have Lorena Feldman. Lorena is originally from Mexico. She's now living in Israel. She studied international relations in Mexico. She opened her own digital marketing agency when she was 24 and built a successful business. At 27, she followed her dream of living in Israel and made Aliyah, where she changed her career and has been working in business development for high-tech companies. Her passion is to promote Israeli technologies around the world. One of her main strengths is that she speaks 5 different languages. And I don't actually know which languages those are, so I'm interested to hear sometime. And finally, we have Daniil. Daniil made Aliyah with his wife 3 years ago from Russia. He works as a senior product analyst in a growth team at Wix.com. He's also a co-founder and community leader of the Reboot Startup Nation, an organization that helps new Olim from the former Soviet Union to find jobs and better integrate into Israeli tech. So we're really excited for all of our speakers tonight, and I hope everyone takes something with them. So let's get things going, and we're starting with Carol.
I just want to say what a great panel, and like for sure we are going to record this meeting and you will have a link, and feel free to share it with your friends. And while we are waiting 1 last minute, I just want to ask you to describe just in 1 word the job searching process in Israel. So I'm sending a link over in the chat, and this is the word cloud. So just click on the link and type whatever you have in your mind. And I remind you that we have a Q&A section just at the bottom of your Zoom window, and I encourage you to leave your questions right there. Like, we will go over the chat, but it's just easy for us to manage a Q&A section. And yeah, now I pass the mic to our first panelist. Carol, please, welcome.
Hi, everyone. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen with my presentation with you. Do you see my screen? Yeah, great. So my presentation, it's not only by a recruiter, but also a long-time job seeker. I'm gonna share with you a bit about my findings when I was at your place looking for a job and didn't really understand the Israeli job market. So I hope you can relate to everything that I'm going to say, because I have been a job seeker. Thank God that my last 2 jobs, I didn't really need to look for a job, but you will kind of understand why. So first of all, nice meeting you. This is a gift that I made to my Brazilian community. So it's written in Portuguese. So, oi pessoal. So I'm Brazilian. I made Aliyah 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago, as Andrew mentioned. I'm from Rio. I live today in Ramat Gan. I speak 4 languages. So Andrew said that he didn't know Lorena's languages. So I will tell you which one I speak. Portuguese, Spanish, English. Those are the languages that I came to Israel with. And now I speak fluently Hebrew. I have a BA in business and MBA in finance. I wanted to add this here to show you that my background is not in HR. And even though it's not in HR, I'm working for HR right now. And I had a previous experience in management consulting back in Brazil. So this is why I had difficulty finding a job. Here, management consulting is something completely different. So when I arrived, I looked for positions as a project manager. I looked for positions such as a business analyst, things that I used to do while I was a management consultant, customer success as well. I tried to apply for those positions. Some of them I succeeded to hold the position for a while, and I didn't enjoy. So today, this is who I am, talent acquisition. I'm also a speaker, podcaster, blogger, YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel with the presentations, the webinars that I offer to my community, the Brazilian community, professional Brazilians looking for a job in Israel. The latest thing, I am an entrepreneur, so I'm also starting something for my own. So here also I brought 2 articles that I was featured in Israel. You know, for me it was amazing when I had this opportunity to share my story with Israelis. And even check marks, they also advertised it, you know, like it's always great when they have great people working for them. So it was really meaningful for me, and I didn't expect any of that when I decided to do Aliyah, anything. Like everything that happened was a fruit of my stay here in Israel. So before I start talking about the things that I wanted to talk about my experience, so I just wanted to give you a small reminder. Once I was a job seeker. So just remember, maybe you don't have a job, maybe you got laid off, maybe you have a gap in your resume because you are looking for a job here in Israel and you don't find, so you have a gap. Maybe you don't master Hebrew, or you think you don't have the relevant experience like I did in the beginning. But just remember that you can still be extraordinary. Don't forget your value. It's very, very important. It's very difficult this time that you are going through, I know, but don't forget your value, never. So I'm gonna speak a bit about the outcomes, the summary. Like one of the tips that I will give to you is track your job search. So because I tracked my job search, I was able to bring this information for you right now. So this was from 2018 to 2019. It was before COVID, so a lot of things changed from this period. But I must say, I was looking for a job for a whole year, literally. So here is the information. So I sent my CV for 165 positions in 103 companies. So I sent to some companies, I sent the CV more than once. And 28 companies interviewed me. They invited me for a face-to-face interview. You will understand later because first you have a phone interview. So when I'm talking about a face-to-face interview, it's already like an advanced stage. 13 of those positions, I was among the finalists. But I just had one yes, and this is what you need, one yes, okay? Focus on this one yes. So here are 4 things that I think that helped me finding a job. So research, understand the Israeli job market, understand the market itself, understand what is the startup nation. We are not just the startup nation anymore. We are the, I forgot the word, but scale up nation, because we are like not only startups, we are just scaling in huge numbers. Having customized CVs, it's also important. Networking and chutzpah. I am not going to speak about chutzpah, but I know Lorena will, so I will leave that to her. But chutzpah, it's very, very important. So I'm going to talk a bit about the typical hiring process in Israel. Before I start, I wanted to mention to you that I have a lot of blog posts already published. So most of the things that I am saying here, you can find more information on my blog posts. So I'm not going to really go through every step. I'm gonna really like to pick up the important things. So we can share after the panel, we can share with you some of the links, so you can read more about it. So the first, let's start. You are a job seeker. You are on an active search. So you have your job alerts created, I hope, on LinkedIn, on Glassdoor, for example. You are checking frequently job boards. For example, Nefesh Benefesh, they have a good job board. Olim in Tech, they have a job board. There are many, many job boards around. There are Facebook groups, also a lot of Facebook groups, and placement agencies. So there are 2 placement agencies that I wanted to mention. One is Ma'of, and the other one is Urban Recruiters. They usually help Olim Hadashim. So who pays for them is the Misrad HaKlita. So I really suggest you to contact them, but there are other placement agencies. Usually they don't charge from the candidate, they charge from the company. So it's a free place for you to do your active search. So, okay, you found a job that you think you are a match. So you are ready to do your job application. So what you need to do, customize your CV. What is to customize your CV? I'm gonna really say it like in very shortly is like take the job description and your CV and try to have the same words that they use in the job description using your CV. So the words that you see that are repeating themselves, make sure they are in your CV. So for example, I'm hiring today for a position that it's written there. We need people with Excel knowledge, with knowledge in building reports. So this is the main thing we are looking for, and it repeats, several times in the job description. So I receive a lot of CVs that they are not written, like the person knows how to do Excel or to do a dashboard. So it's very important that you mention that. So you have to customize each CV you send for each position. Yes, it's a lot of work, but yes, looking for a job, a good job is a full-time job. So the next step, you customize your CV for that specific position. Then you're going to look for someone to refer you internally. It's very, very important to mention. Don't send the CV through the website and then approach the person, can you refer me? No, if you send your CV first on the website and then ask to someone to refer you, like the system doesn't accept that. So it's the first time your CV enters to our system, this is what it's going to count. So make sure you talk to someone before you send your CV for the position. So you submitted your CV through your referral. Also, for example, you might be thinking, so I don't know anyone in Israel to ask to refer me for a position. So I have a whole blog post about it. I mentioned what are the main groups that you should ask about it, and there you can look for people to refer. So for example, Lim in Tech is a good Facebook group where you can find people to refer. And the other one is LinkedIn. Simple LinkedIn search for the company, search for someone in the company that you think that may connect with you, and ask them to refer you. So I changed colors here because, so now the process is internal. It's in the hands of the HR. Okay, so this is why it's a different color. So CV screening, you don't see that this step, but it's a very important step for us. So usually my position, the positions that I do, who does the CV screening is the hiring manager. So I don't do CV screening usually. But there are some companies that the recruiter is also responsible for that. So what I usually do, I'm curious, so I always try to understand why the hiring manager said no to a certain CV. So I'm learning also on the way, and I am writing on my blog post giving these advices to you. So it's a work in progress. So then there is the phone interview. I mentioned that when I was telling you about my own experience, I had a face-to-face interview. So the first one is phone interview. It's around 15 minutes. We are going to understand we are going to explain who we are and the profile we are looking for. It's important. Pay attention to whatever the recruiter is saying over the phone, because she's saying exactly what she wants to hear from you, because this is the profile she or he is looking for. So then you have around 5 to 7 minutes to talk about yourself. And I must say, my tip here is like have your elevator pitch ready. Talk about, let's say, 3-4 minutes, and let the recruiter ask you the questions, because we are going to ask you the questions to understand if your experience is relevant, is what we are looking for. Then we are going to ask for salary expectation and then your availability. Regarding salary, I wanted to say that there are many salary research you can find. Most of them are in Hebrew, but you can use like a Google Translator on your Chrome, and you can be able to read. So it's very important to know how much you're worth. And don't be afraid. You can say also that my salary expectation is X, but I'm flexible. It's also good. Well, face-to-face interview. So you got to the company and you're gonna meet them face-to-face, and it's a great opportunity. Usually I say that the hiring process is a two-way street, because it's not only for them to know you, the company to know you, but also you to know the company, and you to decide if that company is a fit for you, for your values, for everything you believe. So what I emphasize here, it's like what it's important for the company, but keep in mind that it's also important for you to understand if the company is a fit for you. So I wanted to mention here, like it's really very difficult to understand sometimes why you didn't move forward from the face-to-face interviews. Usually it's because there are things that you cannot understand, because it's like we internally are looking for a match for the team, for the company, for the position, and not everything is shared with you, because we have our own expectations. So I understand it's really, it can be kind of frustrating that we don't really tell you what is the reason that you're not selected, but now maybe you can understand that there are many things behind it. So it's not easy to be the Cinderella's shoes. Then there is a, sorry, I want to mention one last thing about face-to-face interviews. Usually we ask, in the end of the interview, we ask, do you have any questions for us? And then you should say, yes, I do. Never say, no, I don't. Always say, always come ready with questions. It's very, very important because this shows that you are interested and you are doing this, you know, you're checking if the company is also good for you. So it's very, very important to have questions ready. Home assignment, the flow is not exactly like this. Sometimes we have the home assignment before the face-to-face interview, but you know, like in order to organize the thoughts, I did the home assignment afterwards. So the main goal for the home assignment is to test the main hard skills that the company is looking for. So I mentioned about the position that I'm looking for, that it's for people that master Excel. So the home assignment is going to be an Excel test, you know, simple. With the main formulas or the main needs that we have on Excel, those are going to be the things on the home assignment. Reference check, we are going to check with your previous employers if everything you said is true. Simple as that. So make sure that you keep contact with your previous employers, mostly managers. At least one manager is important. So for example, in Nayax, it's kind of funny. I am hiring a lot of Brazilians. Actually, it's a kind of luck. I am not doing anything special to hire Brazilians, seriously. But since I joined, we were 2 Brazilians in the company. Yesterday, we had the 6th Brazilian in the company. So yeah, we are getting more Brazilians. And why I'm mentioning that, so not every Brazilian speak Portuguese. So when you, not every Brazilian speak English. Sometimes try to find out if the person speaks English, because not everyone has a recruiter that speaks Portuguese and can call them and speak their language. Anyway, so contract negotiation, it's a very important phase. You are going to check what are the social benefits the company are offering. Meal allowance, it's for example CBUS, 10 bis. It's not an obligation for the company to offer that in Israel. So know that it's very important to know that those companies that offer, they are good companies, but most of the high-tech companies, they offer meal allowance. Vacation, sick days, it's also when they're going to tell you about that. About sick days, I have to tell you that the law here in Israel is you don't receive on the first day. On the second and the third day, you're going to receive 50%. And from the 4th day, you're going to receive 100%. So it's also important to know that in advance, okay? To know if the company will give you, for example, sick days paid from the first day, or they're doing like the law. I'm sorry, sometimes I remember words in Hebrew in my head, you know, so sometimes I mix up things here in my head. And the last thing here, it's options. Options are for a public company. Not all public companies, they offer options, but for sure options are a good thing to add in your contract if they can. And finally, you are a new employee. You got to your first job in high tech. So I wanted to quickly show you a second option. Sometimes we are looking for candidates, and the candidates, I spoke with everyone in the pipeline, and no one was relevant in any of those stages that I mentioned to you. So the second option is I, as a recruiter, I'm going to look for relevant candidates. So this is sourcing. I wrote 2 blog posts only about sourcing because it's something that I really just realized right now. And I hired 15 people at Nayax for one new department, the inside sales department. So we were looking for people with languages, specific languages. So I had to look for people living in Israel that speaks Polish, and they are interested in sales. So I had to look for that, and I learned a lot in that way. And I wrote these 2 blog posts. They are, I received a lot of good feedbacks, even from people that are already working. So I really recommend you to read it. So here's where I looked for candidates. So it's LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very important to keep a good LinkedIn profile. And Facebook groups, I would say, like, introduce yourself on Facebook groups. Don't be shy. And maybe a sourcer or a recruiter like me can find you on Facebook group and talk with you. It's the best. I talked and I hired a lot of people. Yeah.
Just before we are moving forward, we have a lot of QA questions. So let's speed it up and move to the next.
Yeah, so I wanted just to mention the process is the same. You're gonna enter the same process, the same flow. Just you won't need to look for someone to refer you, but you still need to customize your CV. So quick tips is the last slides. So finding a job is a full-time job. It's very important. If you are expect some time and be prepared financially to take some time to find your next job. Own your shit. So don't complain. Someone is not replying to me. Someone is ignoring me, or I sent 100 connections on LinkedIn. No one is replying to me. Try to understand what you're doing wrong, try to research what you're doing wrong and try to do differently the next time, so own it. You are the owner of your own story, so write and own it. Keep track of your job search. It's very important. The thing that I wanted to say about keeping track is that it's very important. Sometimes you are applying for different positions, and different positions you can ask for different salaries. So if you keep track, you know which salary you asked for each company, for each position. So it's very, very important. And also you can always learn with your information. Invest time in your personal brand. I couldn't really share like how everything began with me, but it all began in 2018 with my blog, then in 2020 with the community that I built. And every time I was posting that on LinkedIn, and this is what brought me to my first position in HR at Checkmarks, and also what brought me to my current position at Nayax. So everything it's about personal brand. Network. So we are back with meetings. Face-to-face meeting was one of the things that I mentioned. I wanted a face-to-face meeting. We didn't have, but it's an amazing opportunity to network, to get to know people. And be curious about the Israeli mentality. Don't just say Israelis are this, Israelis are that, but be curious. Why they do that, and accept that, because you choose to be here in Israel. So be curious, understand they think differently than us, and it's just different, So I hope you accept the challenge, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. So many tips. And meanwhile, again, feel free to send your Q&A, your questions in the Q&A section. And I'm happy to be a next panelist. So let me share my screen just in a second. And I'm starting from the short video. Just 1 second. Let me see. Let me know if you can see it. Oh, sorry for that. Okay, so what you have just seen, it's actually the product of the company I'm working for. It's called Powtoon. So now let's move to the presentation itself. So actually, I landed my first job in a high tech from the Masa internship that I had like 5 years ago, but then the company got closed, and this is where, you know, the real challenges began. So I'm going, before I'm sharing tips, I want to share with you my mistakes that I've done in this process. So I want to share with you one of 3 big no-nos, I would call it. And Carol covered this perfectly in her presentation. So in the very beginning, I used to send the same exactly CV for the same position. And because I work in the marketing, like we spell different things, you know, the same things differently. So it's very, very important to customize your CV. And the one really interesting mistake that I made, because I'm, you know, in my heart, I'm so like Soviet Union, I'm so scheduled, so always on time. So whenever I receive an invitation for the interview, it was in this case a face-to-face interview, I see, okay, it's scheduled from 12 to 1, so it means it will take me 1 hour. And it was July in Tel Aviv, like 35 degrees, and my AC, Mazgan, wasn't working. So I scheduled a technician for 1:30. And I knew that, you know, I will have enough time to come home, to meet a technician and finally fix my AC in this hot weather. And apparently, when I had an interview with HR, we decided to move forward, like to hiring manager at the same exact meeting. So, you know, learn from my mistakes, never limit your interview duration, and always think that, okay, it might be instead of 1 hour, it might be 2 hours. And again, because I didn't know that there is a sort of negotiation process, and I'm coming from Russia, so here we just, you know, see their offer, like the salary number, and basically that's it. So in Israel, as Carol already said, there are a lot of other benefits, perks, and just don't forget to talk about that. So let's quickly go about my 5 tips that helped me to acquire the position. So do the research and make sure that you understand the product. I hear it so many times that the people like, oh, I don't know what they actually do. And when I conduct the interview for some positions here at Powtoon, people say, oh, you are like sort of this. So make sure you're not in this situation. Salary range, LinkedIn updates, like I love LinkedIn, so you will find there a lot of information. And also it's important to follow the company leaders to understand what they're focusing on, what they're writing about, and how they basically present themselves. And if there is a public company, like they made IPO, they required to have a quarterly report. So there you can understand the position of the company, like the finance information about the company. And if it's not a public company yet, you can read about investments. And then this is a great question for a company. Okay, I just seen that you had another round of investment. How you guys planning to spend that? And of course, just be in line of the upcoming project from the company. It might really help you in a home assignment, like answering questions from home assignment. Another tip is don't hesitate, you are not alone. And I make, the big accent again on like how cultures are different. And I know that for a lot of Olim's coming from former Soviet Union, it's like, wow, to ask someone about help, like someone that I don't know, it's just no. So in Israel, it's very different. Connect on LinkedIn, ask for referral, be proactive, and talk about yourself, and don't afraid to state your results, not just to describe what you have been doing so far at your position. Just state your results, and this is very helpful. So the third tip is to set your KPIs, and that's what really helped me when I was looking for a job. So I had a daily KPIs, like it's just an example, okay? Like 10, for example, 10 CVs, 10 customized resume that you are sending during the day. You are searching, you are checking on the daily basis 20 job boards, and you are connecting to different people on LinkedIn. So make sure that this is sort of your daily, weekly routine. Moving forward to the fourth tip, I'm a spreadsheet person. I'm obsessed with, gathering all data and writing down absolutely everything. So make sure that you say the whole information. And if you find something challenging in the interview, in the phone screening, just write it down. So next time you will have the exact script in front of your eyes, so you will know how to answer this specific question. And my tip, for example, I have templates almost for everything. I have templates for emails, I have templates for LinkedIn invitation, I have templates for answers. So basically it's just, hi, name, and then I just change it. Of course, it wouldn't be suitable for each and every situation, but it helps me to be like very fast in answering, especially when we are talking about recruiters. And the last tip is, okay, let's say you acquired a job, everything is great, and then you think, I could do bet and gaff, how it says in Hebrew, and just lay down and do not connect, do not engage with my contacts. That's absolutely no. So be productive, engage, create content, and it's very important to be consistent in this development. And thank you so much. It was me, Anna Levitin from Powtoon. And I just want to share another poll. Give me a second. And this poll will be about the challenges. I want to understand what are the challenges that you have, and feel free to answer. You're supposed to see it on your screen. And now let me introduce our next speaker, Lorena Feldman. Welcome, Lorena.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I just want to share my screen really quick. Let me know if you can see it. Great. So thanks for joining us. By the way, we have over 200 people in this webinar right now. So it's amazing that you guys are here. So thank you for joining us. And I hope we give you valuable tips. And I also want to say that you guys can reach us out on LinkedIn if you have further questions after this talk. And we're always going to be here for you. And we're going to try to guide you as much as we can. Okay. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Mexico City. And my dream was always to make Aliyah after I did like the Masa gap year when I was 18. My dream was always to make Aliyah. I went back to Mexico and studied international relations, and I started working at the UN because that was also my dream, to work at the UN. And then I really quickly realized that it wasn't for me. I was working at the UN Office Against Drugs and Crime in Mexico, so it was a bit hardcore. And I also realized that I didn't have a lot of impact. So for me, having impact was one of the most important things. So I decided to stop being an employee and become a company owner. And I developed a digital marketing agency when I was 24. And in this agency, I would hire only women and single moms, and I would choose my clients. So first of all, did I know anything about marketing? No. Did I know anything about owning my own business? Also no. So first of all, I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot along the way, and I hired the most amazing people that I could find, and I went up and built a very successful business in digital marketing. But in my head, there was always this idea of making Aliyah, but I also had like all the why not making Aliyah, right? Like I didn't have a network in Israel. I didn't know how my professional life would look in Israel. I didn't know anyone in Israel, and of course, it just didn't make sense. And then in 2017, it's a regular day in September, and I was working on my computer, stressing about deliverables, and suddenly like the earth starts to shake, literally, like the earth starts to shake. And I've been in a lot of earthquakes before because I'm from Mexico City, so I've been in a lot of earthquakes before, but never as hard as this one. And I can hear my dogs barking in the background and my husband yelling at me, but I can't move because it's so strong that I feel that I'm gonna fall down. Finally, I gathered the strength to like go to the staircase and start to running down the stairs. We were on the 13th floor. And as we hear our neighbors yell and the building moving from side to side, we see the walls cracking and pieces of paint falling to the ground. And at this stage, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it or not. And this day, 40 buildings fell down in Mexico, killing more than 300 people. And to be honest, this day changed my life forever. Because it made me realize that my time is not a given. Like, I don't know how long I have in this earth. So for me, this was like the final push I needed to actually make Aliyah. So in 2018, we made Aliyah. To be honest, it was a soft landing. I've heard horrible Olim stories. For us, it was a very soft landing. I started working. So because I had my own company, I had to develop a lot of skills. And I think this is something that's going to happen for you guys too, in the sense that you come with different skills and different languages, for example, and you sometimes translate those into a new career once you get in Israel. So for me, I decided that the things that I liked the most of owning my own company was the sales and the marketing part. And that's how I get to know business development or sales development. And I've been doing that since I got here 3 years ago. My first job was in low tech, and then in 2020 we had another earthquake that hit us again, and this time it was COVID. And that's when I decided that I really needed to get a better job and a better paying job, and that's when I started in high tech. So I'm gonna give you tips on what I've learned since I started working in high tech. And it's stuff that I wish I knew before I applied to the jobs. And it's just stuff that I wish I knew, and it would have avoided me a lot of mistakes. So I hope it gives you a little bit of something to make your life easier. So tips to help you navigate your career in Israel. First, I think everyone just said it, but work on your LinkedIn profile. Have your LinkedIn up to date. That means write a small intro about yourself in the about section, and you can be funny about it, by the way. Like I put there that in my free time I listen to cumbia, so be free about it. Try to be as yourself as possible. Ask people for recommendations also on your LinkedIn. And finally, be your own brand ambassador. So post often, connect often, and put things that you know about, that interest you about, anything that you feel it's relevant for this social network. Connect. So connect and introduce yourself to people on LinkedIn who already have the job position that you aspire and the people on top of them. First of all, you will be surprised in Israel how people are open to share their knowledge and to just grab a cup of coffee with you, and you can pick their brains, and they're going to be open about it. This is something that I was very surprised, because coming from Mexico, of course, we're afraid to talking to anyone who's a stranger. So take that idea out of your mind. This is a different country and people are very open to that. So I always say, for example, you can take the Olim Hadashim card and say like, hi, I'm an Ola Hadasha, and I wanted to pick your brain on this, and this, because I'm searching for a job such as yours. And I'm sure they're going to give you, some kind of feedback, or they're going to give you 15 minutes of their time at least. Find a mentor. This is really something that I wish I knew when I was 18. But first of all, you have to question yourself. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Which companies inspire you? What is the job position that you want to have in the next 5 years? And approach people in that position and in the companies that inspire you and ask them to mentor you. And of course, as I told you, you can use the Ole Hadash excuse to approach them. I think we've covered it again, but never apply directly to a position. And I saw a few of the questions, so I'm going to go deeply on how I did it in the past, okay? So whenever possible, if you have connections on your LinkedIn in the company that you want to apply, ask them to send your CV internally. First of all, I want to say that it's a win-win for everyone. Like if they hire you, this person is going to get some kind of compensation. So I've heard like people in Fiverr that tell me like, I don't even care if I don't know this person, I'm going to refer him, because if they get hired, I get a bonus. So really, it's a win-win for everyone. So try to take off of your mind like you're going to be a burden to this person, because you're not. So also, if you don't have connections in this company, have some chutzpah. So feel free to approach someone that seems to be cool, or maybe even the manager, and say like, listen, I saw this position, I think I'm the best fit, and this is why. This is my CV. Please try to refer it to the HR people or whatever. Bring yourself to the table. When I first got to Israel, I felt like I needed to compete against the Israelis, and that's a lie, okay? You have with yourself languages, skills, cultural knowledge that Israelis don't have, and it is very valuable for these companies that are trying to sell to the outside world. So bring yourself to the companies fully. Like, don't try to be someone who you're not, because you already bring a lot to these companies. Find what you love. A lot of us change our careers when we get to Israel. Sometimes our careers are not the same as the ones that we're finding here in Israel. So find what you love. So if you understand what you're good at and what makes you happy, and you can actually combine those two, you will be very successful at your job. And by the way, it's also okay not to know right away. It's also okay to try a few things here and there. Just as Carol, for example, she's a great example of what she did, and now she's in HR. So feel free to like experiment a little bit to see what actually works for you and where you feel where you can give more to a company. guys, this is like, I think the most difficult, but it doesn't only apply for trying to find a job in high tech, but to navigate your aliyah altogether. So be self-motivated. I think the key to success is to be self-motivated and also to have fun with anything that you do. So while you're searching for a job, you're gonna get a lot of rejection, a lot of it. And we all get it, by the way. So don't think you are like the worst or whatever. We all get it. So try not to take it personally. Try to have like a fun experience. And if you're not motivated, also learn to take a break. It's okay. It's okay to like maybe go to the beach for one day. It's okay to maybe take vacations. It's okay to maybe just meditate for 10 minutes, but try to pull back yourself together to again be self-motivated. This is an advice that I read on a book and I follow it. And I think it's one of the best advices I've ever gotten. And it's be careful who you listen to. So only listen to the people or the advice and opinions of people that are already where you want to be. So for example, if you want to look for a job in high tech, only listen to the opinions of people who are already in high tech. So for example, when I was looking for a job in high tech, people that were not in high tech, by the way, were telling me like, you shouldn't do that because you're not going to have work-life balance, or you're never going to have enough time to be with your daughter. And, you know, stuff like that, that really stays in your brain, but it's actually not true. So again, be really careful who you listen to. This is a huge one. We've all said it, but I have like my best questions. So ask questions on your job interviews. These are a few that I've used in the past, and I hope this serves you. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want. So for example, what makes your best employee stand out? What is the vision of the company? This is a great one. Is there anything I can do to improve my skill set in the meantime? That's really gonna set you differently from the rest of the people, by the way. What type of skills is the team missing that you're looking to fill with a new hire? And the best one, always ask in the end of the interview, is there anything about me that you're unsure about? They will tell you exactly what they're unsure about you, and you have time to like defend yourself or agree with them or not agree with them. So this is a great one to use. Like if you want to take just one of them, take the last one. And don't forget to really do a deep investigation of the company you're applying to. So any news, their LinkedIn page, their regular page, posts that they've done in the past, anything that you can actually bring to the interview so that they know you're taking your job seriously. Okay, also this is for job interviews and just to anything in life, but like fake it till you make it. Develop chutzpah to approach people directly. Be confident of what you have to offer. You're very valuable to this country. Get out of your comfort zone constantly. By the way, if you already made Aliyah, I know you're living out of your comfort zone, so it's gonna be easier for you, but challenge yourself, you know, like maybe ask for feedback after you apply for a job and you never heard back. Like ask for feedback, like did they actually receive your CV? Is there anything about your CV that worried them and that's why you're not getting a phone call from them? They're not gonna take it on a bad side. I know some of us come from cultures where this is not okay. In Israel, it's okay, so feel free to do it. Also, a big one that I learned during my aliyah is like speak up your ideas, connect with people as much as you can, ask for help when needed. People are willing to help you. So, and if they're not, you can always say like, listen, I'm new to this country. I don't understand the culture. I don't understand maybe the HR processes. I don't understand how to create my CV. It's okay to ask. Finally, if you can learn anything from my story is don't wait for your earthquake because it might never come. Be your own earthquake. So if you have a dream, if you have a passion for something, have the chutzpah and just do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lorena. We get a lot of compliments from our attendees. Thank you so much. We had a great crowd here, amazing questions that we will go over in the end of the panel. And now I invite our last panelist, Daniil. Mic is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Daniil. Actually, really like all these advices are so amazing, and before I will share my story soon, but I think in order to make it work, you guys really need to do it. You know, like you listen to it, you agree with it, amazing. I see like all the comments that you're like, wow, it's like a revelation for me. So now you need to do it, you know, to actually implement it. So yeah, I will share my story. Okay, I guess this is the right screen. No, it's not the right screen. Well, that's fine. Okay, so I will share with you my story, and in this story, I will share a little bit of tips. Okay, so it's not like just the tips. I will just explain it on the way. So right now, I work as a senior product analyst at Wix. I joined the company a little bit less than a year ago. Also, I'm a fellow at Novo Network. I will share about it a little bit more. It's a network for alim from different countries who work in tech. And also, I'm a co-founder and community leader in the Reboot Startup Nation. And I believe there are a lot of people here because we made an announcement in our group also. So I hope this whole like meeting is super valuable for you. And I will share my story. So my journey started with studying theoretical physics in university in Russia. I studied physics because I liked it in school. And for some reason, I thought it's going to be the same in university. And I was really wrong because university physics is so much more complicated and it's so theoretical and it's so like mathematical that for me, it was too much. And at one point, I just understood that I want something more practical. So I started looking for some job experience while I'm in the university. And I found an unpaid internship in a startup. It was called Astrovok.com, which is, they were doing basically booking.com, but in Russia, it's like Russian startup. And I was working there for 6 months without salary in the analytics department. All my friends were like asking, why are you doing this? Why are you working for free? You're wasting your time and so on. But actually this internship gave me everything, like the foundation for my career. And until today, I still work as an analyst. Until today, I use the knowledge and principles that I learned in my very first internship. That was like 7 years ago. So if you have an opportunity to have an internship somewhere, I highly recommend you doing this. This is like a life-changing experience for me. After that, I decided that I don't want to be just an analyst. I want to be closer to the business. That's how I thought it works. So I joined the oil and gas company called Schlumberger. It's like the biggest international oil and gas services company. They have like 100,000 employees all over the world. It was important for me that I practiced English there. My manager, manager of my manager, was English speaker. So for me, it was super important to work in a company where I can practice my English. And also in this job, I learned talking to people and I learned talking to hard people. Like I learned how to negotiate, how to disagree with people who are like in a higher position than you and so on. So actually this experience helps me today with my day-to-day job because I really like, I'm like Israeli in this sense because Israelis never afraid to tell you what they think. No matter if you're like a CEO or something, they will tell you, no, you're wrong. I disagree. So this is something that I had an opportunity to learn even before. So it was amazing. But then I understood that I actually want to work in tech because of how the decisions are made in the companies. And in the tech companies, in good tech companies, the decisions are made based on data. And most of the companies outside of tech, it's much harder to make decisions based on data. Usually they're made based on like, who is the biggest boss in the room. This person decides what is right. So long story short, I joined the company called Get. Actually, I joined the team of my manager from my first internship, who was working at Get. So this is like an example how, you know, in this internship, I did not only receive the experience, but I also received, you know, network and connections, and I knew people. And then my ex-manager called me to join his new team, which was amazing. Turned out that Get was an Israeli company. It wasn't like for me a decision-making point when I was joining the company, but then, my first day in the office, I was like walking there and they had, the names of the rooms, of the meeting rooms, they had it like in Russian, English, and in Hebrew. So for me, it was like, what is this? I don't even know this language, and that's how I found out that the company is Israeli. So 2 years after, when I was thinking about making Aliyah, I asked them, I'm like, listen, I want to make Aliyah. I want to move to Israel. Is it possible for me to be transferred to like Israeli office from the Moscow office? And I had several interviews inside the company to several positions. Actually, one of interviews I failed, and like it was a position that I did not have enough experience to. So then I had another one and another one. And that's how they said, okay, this is your position. When you make Aliyah, I joined an Israeli office. And on my second day in the country, when we landed, on my second day, I was already in the office of my company where I knew everyone, where I knew the company, I knew the data, I was an analyst. I speak, the company speaks English, like the office speaks English. So for me, for first half a year, it was like the safest place in Israel, the place where I know everything, where people speak my language. And it was the place where I actually rested. Outside, I was in constant stress because of the language, different culture and stuff, but in the office, I was resting. So if you are still not in Israel and you're thinking about moving to Israel, one of the things that will make it much more easier for you is doing this. You can find Israeli companies that has an office in your country. There are many, because a lot of Israeli companies are international. They have offices all over the world. You can find Israeli companies, you can join the company in your country, and then when you make Aliyah, you can be moved. Basically, for me, it wasn't like, even an internal move. What happened is I was like fired as an employee in Moscow, and then as a new citizen with different documents, a citizen of Israel, I was hired in an Israeli company. So it's like, it's not even like, a relocation. We ended relationships in Moscow and we started new relationships in Israel. So, but what's important that people know you. People there was someone in the company. Actually, I was not like brave enough, to connect with everyone, even inside my own company, which is now I'm thinking it's crazy. You can write to anyone in your company and they will be happy for help. But I was like not sure. And someone said, okay, let me ask the management of like Israeli office if they have positions. And that's how it happens. So when you work in an Israeli company, it's much easier for you. And so there are companies who have offices outside of Israel, and there are companies who have remote jobs. So it's also an option. So if you're still on the way, or you're like planning to move to Israel, this is one of the options that can make it easier for you. After that, after like two and a half more years of Get in Israel, I joined Wix. And actually, this is another story where I was not looking for a job. So like after a couple of years in Israel, recruiters started reaching out to me on LinkedIn, like on the constant basis. Are you interested? Are you interested? Are you interested? Like at least I think in every week I receive at least like 4 or 5 such offers. I started like lazily answering people like, okay, let's talk, and even though, think about it, even though I was not looking for a job, companies were contacting me. I was interviewing to like 10 companies, and not everywhere there was a fit. Not everywhere I liked them. Not everywhere they liked me. Some companies wanted someone like much more technical than me. Some companies wanted someone who will do like everything from scratch, and I didn't want to do everything from scratch. So it's not only about, you're being good enough or having enough experience. It's like, it's almost like marriage, it's not about finding any girl outside, right? You need to find the girl, and they need to find the analyst in this case. They need to find the right person with the right experience, because if you take like 10, let's say, analysts in the room, and they will be really different. Somebody will be more technical, somebody will be more business, somebody will be shy, some will be really like confident, somebody will make like beautiful presentations and explain things super clearly, and somebody will build like complicated models. So different companies for different positions need different people, so that's perfectly fine. If some companies, like if you receive rejections, if in some interviews like you don't pass, you know. I interviewed at some company, it was like a gaming company, and I solved everything, like I answered everywhere perfectly, but then in the end they took somebody with like gaming experience just because they wanted somebody who knows how to analyze games. It's actually different, it's a whole different area of analytics, like analyzing games. So that's like another piece of advice. So even if, you know, even when recruiters approach you and it still doesn't guarantee anything, then it's perfectly fine when you're looking for a job that you not everywhere there is a fit, and not everyone is like you know, calling you back or something. Also, another interesting thing that happened with this week's job change is that when I just moved to Israel, I had like really empty LinkedIn page, and I started like making it alive. And what I did, I searched for people in the companies I thought are cool, you know, like somebody from Apple, okay, product manager Apple, connect. Product analyst Apple, connect. Then like somebody in Uber, somebody in Lyft, because I was working at Get, so I wanted some people from my industry, connect to random like product managers, to random analysts from my area, right? Then I like Spotify because I was listening to music on Spotify, connect. Why I did this? Because I wanted to see what's happening on LinkedIn. You know, when you don't have connections, you don't see anything on LinkedIn. It's like useless. It only has power when you have connections. And what happened is that on this particular position, my future manager reached out to me on LinkedIn because I had 2 connections at Spotify where he worked before. And when he was looking for an analyst in Israel, I was like on top of his search with like, you have similar connections. And when he texted me, he said, hey, I see that you know this guy and that guy from Spotify. I didn't know them. I just connected to them, okay? And I want to offer you something. So it was like purely random. I'm not saying that it will happen to you, you know, it's like it might happen, it might not happen, but it works, you know, like you never know which connection will make a difference. So really LinkedIn is super important. I will share briefly about things kind of outside of work, but they're super important for like professional development. I joined an Alim community called Nevo. Actually, Lorena is also part of this community. That's how we know each other. It's a unique community for Alim from different countries. It's kind of it's not like a closed community, but they have like small groups. You know, every year there is a cohort of like 30 people, so it's not like for everyone. There is like a selection process and stuff. The idea is that you meet people who work in tech from different countries, and somehow I got there, and I met like 30 people, Alim, from like 12 countries. Before that, I never met anyone who is not Israeli or not like Russian speaking. This was my community. People from like Russia, Ukraine, Belarus who I knew, and native Israelis from my work. That's it. So here I met a lot of people from different countries who live in Israel. They have different experience, they have different networks. Suddenly I found out there is a lot of Argentinians in Israel. I had no idea there are. And I found out how different the experience is, like that. Like I can talk about it for a long time, but it's like really helpful. And this led me, and there was another girl, Katerina, she's from Ukraine. So we met at Nevo, and we decided that we want to build a community for Russian-speaking Alim who work in tech. So that's how the Reboot Startup Nation thing happened, and I will tell you a little bit more about it. So what it is. So this is like my story in Israel, and you see that there are many things that happened, something that I didn't think about. Like I had no idea I could find this community, and especially I had no idea I can found, you know, a community that's now is like really big. We have like 8,500 people in our Telegram channel and so on. I will tell you more. The idea is that it's really a country of opportunities. You can do so many things here. And if you come from like a really big country, and because Israel is small, almost any country is much bigger than Israel. It's really, I think it's much easier to be like, special kind of here than in the United States. In the United States, we have like thousands of people who have much better experience, and it's impossible to stand out. I think in Israel, it's much easier because the country is small, everyone knows everyone. So there are high chances that like you can really meet after like 2-3 handshakes, you can meet anyone. So it's important, and you can do here a lot. And it's really, there are no limits. The only limit is like Carol said, you need to own your shit, you need to do it, just do it.
Daniil, so I just wanted to say that we have a lot of Q&A questions. Just let's speed it up.
I will share real fast, real quick about this, like what we offer, how can we help. So this community is for Alim from former Soviet Union. So we speak and we write in Russian there. But if you are not from these countries, I just encourage you to find the community of Alim from your country. I'm assuring you there is one. There is one, no matter from where you are. You can find people from your country, they will help you. So what we have a Telegram channel where we share like news about Israeli tech, knowledge, resources, events, and we have chats by professionals. Like we have chat for designers, we have chat for startup founders, and you can be like, if you are from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, you understand Russian language, you can be part of it, and we will help you. And a lot of other people who are part of this community will help you. We also have the guide with a lot of useful information. So like whenever someone is asking questions, we're trying to find the answer and then we store it. So like there are a lot of questions that I already answered about Aliyah process, about job seeking. Actually, there are I think 7 Carol blog posts in this guide because they are amazing. So please read them and so on. And we also have like recordings of webinars of people from different professions who share experience, how the Israeli market looks like and so on. So you can learn from it. We also have more than 200 companies who said that they want to hire Alim. So of course, it doesn't mean that everything will be like automatic. You still need to have a CV that's like for a certain position. It's still good to find a referral, somebody who will, even though this company said, yes, I want you, it's still good if you will apply through a referral and so on and so forth. But it's amazing that companies said, yes, we care and we want these people. And we already see people hired and companies say thank you, because like Lorena said, you bring something special. And for example, with former Soviet Union, we know that people from these countries are like super technical. Like, come on, I studied theoretical physics. Who studies theoretical physics, right? Like I didn't go this way, but a lot of people did go this way. And when you come with this experience, you can bring something that there's not a lot of things, a lot of experience like this in this country. So really, you can bring something unique to the country, and you can also, if you're in the process of job seeking, you can apply as a candidate. We will share this data with the companies. They will also be able to find you and contact you. But again, it's much more effective if you will do your part and you will apply also. I know that companies finding someone, but again, it doesn't mean that you applied and then you sit and just wait. There are thousands of people in this database. So yeah. And yeah, this is it. These are the links. I think maybe we can share them after. If you're not part of our community and you understand Russian language, please join. We will do our best to help you.
Спасибо so much, Daniil. And we just to ensure we're going to have recording, we're going to have links to all presentation the next few days. So don't worry, you are not losing anything. So it took us a little bit more time, but still, I would like to get your feedback because it's very important for us. It's not only one event. We are planning to do more events, maybe some in person. So please, there are 3 questions about feedback. Feel free to fill the poll, and we are starting to answer Q&A questions from Q&A section. So the first one will be, Carol, could you please name the placement agencies that you are mentioning in your presentation? Just, right?
I replied to this question is Maof and Urban Recruiters. Those are
if you
names.
can just drop it in the chat so everyone will see, like it will be great. And there is another question, and I think it might be relevant for you, Lorena, how to find people to refer from, how to approach these people.
So first of all, see on LinkedIn if you're connected to someone from that company. And if not, you might be connected by a second degree with someone with that company. So let's say I want to apply to Python, but I'm not connected to Anna, but I'm connected to Carol. So I would ask Carol if she knows her personally, and maybe she could reference me. And if I don't know anyone from that company, I would try to approach someone that's relevant for the team. So for example, if I'm applying for an SDR position, then I would probably approach the SDR manager or the team lead and just ask him to reference me. Like, I saw this position, I know I'm the best fit because of this, this, and this. Here's my CV. Hopefully you can, send it to the HR people. That's what I would do.
Thank you so much for this answer. I see that we all also receive a lot of answers for those people who cannot make Aliyah, how to get a working visa. And I want to say that we not necessarily have expertise in this field, and it's a more like legal-wise question, but feel free to share, like Carol, maybe you face this situation. Andrew, maybe you can light some information on that.
Before we move forward, I wanted, I already wrote down here that I wanted to add something to what Lorena mentioned. And now you asked about how to connect with people, how to find people on LinkedIn. So it's really relevant what I want to say. I receive many LinkedIn invitations. Some of them are without any kind of introduction. So people that they invite me to connect without any kind of introduction. Usually if they are from Israel or from Brazil, okay, I accept them. If they are not from Israel or Brazil, I don't accept them because they're not explaining me what made them want to connect with me. So this is one. The second, always add the first tip is always add an introduction. It's very important for the person to really understand why you wanted to connect with her or him. But the other thing I would say, it's like, so if you connect with someone, or for example, as Lorena said, send a message and send, I want to pick your brain, let's sit for a coffee. It's not just like, I want to pick your brain. No, I read about you. I understand what are the values I can benefit from you. I can also somehow exchange something with you, like, it's not only like, I want to pick your brain, let's sit for a coffee. If it was like this, I'm going to tell you, I would have coffees until the end of the year, like endless. But I need to also prioritize the coffees that I will drink with, So be interesting for the person that you are connecting. So always look their profile. I had a case, someone from Brazil connected with me recently, and he sent me a message in English. And I was like, really? You didn't even see my profile? It's written all over that I'm from Brazil, Like really small homework. Do your homework.
Thank you so much for this tip, Carol. And we can come back to the like non-Aliyah related question a little bit later. So now there is a very specific question: how to find a job in Israel DevOps, and why sometimes HR manager, they don't understand the difference between DevOps and the people who literally write the code. So from my experience, like I can say, again, I'm not DevOps, just the HR review, that there is a certain HR for specific positions. So maybe you either just talk to a like small startup or HR that might be focused like on another position. Maybe Carol, you can, have a short answer on this one.
I can tell that for DevOps, you have to really know what are the companies that use this technology or use this knowledge. Or I still don't understand anything for DevOps, but for example, I can comment that Checkmarks, we had tons of positions for DevOps. At Nayax, we don't. So you have to look for companies that do use this technology and aim for those companies and try to build the relationship with people that work on DevOps. There are many, many communities. Daniil really talked really nice about community. It's amazing. I wanted to mention that. I am also a leader of a community, but your community is like everything that I wanted my community to be, you know, it's amazing. So we have the communities for everything. So look for a community for DevOps in Israel and start asking them, where do you work? What should I say during the interview? So use those communities to get more knowledge. Is a good place also.
Thank you so much. We have a question from Alexander Karenin about project manager. He's more classic project manager, and he actually interested, in more classic project manager position in Israel. And how, I guess your question is like how to find this position. Again, just we have no project managers on this panel. So what you can do, and it will be a right move, just approach someone either from Daniil's community or ask, hey, who is a project manager? I need to talk to you. Can you give me 15 minutes of your time? It's like, it's a great, the great move.
Exactly.
Another question is, I had a position which was like 120% fit, and while I was trying to search someone in the company, the position was already closed. It was less than 20 hours. So maybe Lorena, you can shed some light on this. What would be your advice?
It happens, guys. It happens all the time. Sometimes they even post a position, but they already have someone in mind, especially like VCs. So it happens. My best advice would be like, don't take it personally. It happens. Just move to the next one. If it wasn't for you, it's for a reason. I always believe that. Like, if it wasn't for you, it's for a reason, believe me. So just move to the next opportunity.
Thank you so much. There is a question.
Just like to add one thing. As I mentioned in my part, that there are things that happen inside the company that are not transparent for the candidates. So maybe it was the position was not available only for 20 hours, you said? Something like that.
Yeah.
But probably it was a refresh that they made for the position, and it looked like it was only 20 hours ago, but it's not usual. Usually, like I can tell you, a hiring process can take around 1 to 3 months to hire the right person.
Thank you so much. We have a question from Vladimir Feldman. Wow, maybe it's your relative, huh, Lorena?
Maybe.
So he's asking about how to understand which exact title, like your title, you need to set in your CV. For example, I do complex interactive financial models, dashboard, project budget, and business planning using Excel, Google Sheets, but I don't know what is the relevant job in Israel to look for. My advice will be just go over LinkedIn profile, just search for keywords and try to find how people in Israel describe it. Because from my field, from marketing, we get used to, in former Soviet Union countries, we have this term SMM. And I see it in every CV, but in Israel, we don't have this term SMM, like we don't use it. So make sure align to LinkedIn. Maybe Daniil, you have some advice, like how to adjust your title for Israeli CV.
Yeah, actually, this is a big issue, and there are several positions that I'm still struggling to like translate, but I think the best thing is like this advice that was like several times named, that you need to make a research. Just go for like, prepare like a Google Sheet or whatever, scan like couple of hundreds, of positions, and just write down this company, they call it like project manager, and they need this and that. But this company calls the very same thing program manager, and this company calls it like technical project manager. So like everyone calls it whatever, and it's a big problem. In the world of analytics, it's a huge problem. In America, everyone who works with data is data scientists. Here, no, data scientist is just like machine learning kind of part. If you do like data analytics, that's like visualization and like presenting to stakeholders, it's business analytics. But in Russia, business analytics is something else. It's like a project management. So it is a big problem, and you just need to make research. Just spend some time for this before you will apply to random positions,
Thank you so much, Daniil. We have several questions that some of them I can address to Andrew about Masa program and age limits. So Andrew, can you state what are the current rules for Masa participant? What are the age?
Sure. So it all depends on the program. We have programs that accommodate ages from 18 to 35. So we have people from post-high school. So if you just finished high school, you can come. We have post-college programs, so typically anyone after the age of 22, and that goes up to 35. So if you're within that age range, there's something available for you. If anyone wants to reach out to me regarding specific questions about what they qualify for or any programs you might be interested in, feel free. And you can also look on our website and everything is there.
From my personal perspective, I can say that the age is not the limit in Israel. And if you're considered like 35, and again, consider yourself like old, it's not bad. I came to Masa when I was 29 and I'm 33 and I'm still like feel super young and relatively young, in my company. So I think it doesn't matter if you are 40 or 50 plus, as long as you come with relevant experience. And feel free like to approach any of us with a specific question. Again, it might be that we don't know the specific answer, but we might connect you to someone. And I just want to thank you one more time. I'm ending the poll, sharing results, and I know that we didn't cover a lot of your question. And I'm saying again, like, talk to us, send us questions in LinkedIn, and also if you join the Facebook event, feel free to add something there. I think let's have the one last question, answering about those people who are not applied for Aliyah, but they really want to find a job in Israel. Let's just give a few tips how to make this process. Maybe Carol, you face this situation, or you, Lorena.
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, so basically the question is those who cannot apply for Aliyah, but they want to work in Israel, what is the process? Again, I just want to share this webinar is not focused on this specific question, but maybe you can share some light.
So if I understood correctly, the question is looking for a job before doing Aliyah?
Without an opportunity to make Aliyah.
Like with the work visa?
Yeah, basically how to make a work visa.
So I comment also on that. Depends on the company, because the worker costs more for the company, the worker with a work visa and not as a citizen. So what I can tell you at Nayax, I hired on top of my head at least 2 people with a work visa. But for example, we don't pay for the work visa. The person needs to have the work visa, then we can hire.
Thank you so much. So wow, it's 8:34 here in Tel Aviv, and I had the best evening in this entire week, for these 2 days. And I want to thank each of you guys. And again, feel free, don't be shy, talk to us. And yeah, thank you so much. If any one of the panelists, feel free to share your experience.
I wanted also to thank, it was really nice. I wanted this to happen at some point. I think it's very, very interesting that we have a panel with people that really started that from their heart. It's not something that someone built, but it was only like people passionate about that. So I love to share this moment with you. It was really, really nice.
I just want to say that before I made Aliyah, everyone kept saying like Israel is so hard. And before I applied to a job in high tech, people were saying like getting to high tech, it's so hard. So we actually created this talk for you guys to feel that it's not as hard as it seems. And if you get some value from our talk, also if you get a job, thanks from our tips, also say it. It would like really
let us know. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everyone. I'm so happy everyone came, and I really hope you learned and were able to take something away.
Daniil, some words from you.
Yeah, I'm just happy that it's like a trend now for Alim to like unite and to help each other. I think it's super important. There is like community is something that we lack when we move to a new country. You don't have your like university friends. You didn't serve in Shimon Matam or any other army unit, and like you don't have a lot of friends. And Alim should like help each other because we went through the same things. We all face this like cultural shock and like different CV shock or whatever. So I'm just happy that it happens and I can be part of it.
So thank you so much. Have a great evening and happy job searching. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.